There are a great deal of anxieties about the future supply of public interest news in the UK. There's anxieties from a whole range of places. There's also a great deal of action. What there isn't is some shared visions about what the future for public interest news would look like, both the futures we'd like to create and the futures we'd like to avoid. And this project seeks to address just that. The News Futures Project Consortium is led by the team here at the Media Innovation Studio at the University of Central Lancashire. We have 3 plenary sessions where we are bringing experts together from inside, alongside and outside the news media industry to consider the key issues that are the driving forces of change and to identify the critical uncertainties. We're bringing them together to think through the scenarios of the future of public interest news in the UK. And then we'll bring them together again to think through the implications of those scenarios and to identify actions going forward.
I'm Alan. The reason why I'm here is because I'm facilitating a process that we've been reflecting on a lot, which is focused, of course, on the supply of trustworthy news or public interest news in the UK. And we're doing that with a variety of people, multi-stakeholders. And my role is basically here to help design the process and facilitate it.
Hi, I am Bruno Tindemans, and I am actually helping François and the whole team to get a strategic process on its wheels to deliver. In such a turbulent time, also media has to find its role again, has to reinvent itself. And therefore, we use a methodology that tries to cope with this uncertainty. And this is the field of foresight in the field of strategy. The
methodology we use is basically scenario planning, which is used a lot in strategic thinking all over the world, in governments, in private companies, foundations. And the methodology basically works in 2 steps. You first think about the context and how is that changing, and that's why you use the scenarios. And you have multiple scenarios because there are uncertainties. And rather than hiding them and making a prediction of what you think want to happen, we imagine actually different futures that are really very different and capture the uncertainty that we don't know. And the whole idea is that by having different futures, you have better glasses to understand what is happening around me. So that's step 1. And once I have a better view on what can be happening, what is the future that I could be facing, then you can think much better about what ought I to be doing, if this is my purpose, if this is the reason why I'm here, if this is the objective I want to obtain. Each scenario informs me on what I can do to achieve whatever I want to achieve.
We are now in a phase where we have embryonic scenarios. We will have to make them rich and we'll have to make them appealing, and because they have to make people think about this world that might come about, so they should touch somewhere spots in your brain that they make you think and engage you emotionally, because we need emotions to be able to think. And so this is the first job to be finished now, and then we will go and see what can we do to secure the supply of trustworthy news in the public interest in the different worlds we have created.
I think so many driving forces in our industry prevent people from being able to think critically about the conditions in which we're working and producing journalism, right? So the fish never think about the quality of the water, that type of thing. And so I think for that reason, what we've been doing here is very difficult. Adopting a methodology that says we should cast into the future and takes people whose focus is always now, this minute, tomorrow at best, and says think into 2035. We get bogged down and stuck sometimes in definitions and in language and in labels, and that creative work of projection into the future is very challenging, and for that reason I think it is also valuable.
The methodology is very interesting. I think in terms of understanding the crises that are going on, the uncertainty, I think it's key that we plan for lots of different scenarios and think about how all the different ways in which the industry could change and could adapt to fund public interest news in the future.
We're still kind of finding our way with the methodology. It's very new to us, because normally you would fill in something and there would be a researcher kind of figuring out what came out of it. But this time we're really having to use our brains cast it forward by like 12 years, which is a long time for media. I mean, we can barely think to the end of the week. So it has really exercised us in like not only what has to change in the media for us to get to a good place on the question, but also what has to change in society, with people, with politics, with the economy. And I think that that has been a really interesting sort of exercise for us, and I'm really looking forward to see what comes out of this.
I think this methodology is quite interesting because it's my first time that I in a scenario workshop. It's not easy coming up with something that you don't know, so you can't predict the future, so you have to build scenarios based on assumptions. But I think it has been very interesting and has going very well so far.
But ours is an open process. We invite anyone who's interested in the questions we are wrestling with to fill in our expressions of interest form or to sign up for a newsletter to stay abreast of the project as it develops.